Maybe we'll see you in person one of these days.
Hey, David, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna open the meeting, call it to order. It's 12:02 and November 12th, 2025. And as usual, I'd like to start with an Olelo No'eau. And the Olelo goes, Ole e Olelo, my ana, ki ahiua ana ia. And the literal translation is that fire will never say it has enough. And what it really, the underlying meaning of the Kona is it, like fire, you burn as long as you have something to feed on. And so the way I interpret that is CDP is what we feed on. So let's keep our fire burning.
Very good.
So, okay, so we'll call to order first. We'll do roll call. I'll start with you. RJ. Okay. If you represent a district or something, can you include that as well? Because we're supposed to be kind of like regional. If not, that's okay.
Now, where do you live?
I live in Kona.
Okay,
I'm not sure which district it is.
yeah, it's probably Kailua. Okay,
I'm Charlotte Thompson, CDP member, Action Committee member. I live in Kona.
John Pelletier, I live in North Kona, O'oma.
Nancy Psicchio, Vice Chair, I live in Keho.
Charles Young, I live in Kealia in South Kona. Dave,
David Huerta, I live in Kona.
okay. I'd like staff, either both present and online, if you can introduce yourself, Mary.
Planning Department, Hi, hello, Lady Planning Department.
Hi everyone, Janice Hata with the Planning Department in the Hilo office.
Great.
Hi, Janice.
Hi.
Hi, Janice. Hi, Janice.
Okay, so that was roll call and introductions by the chair. Absences, Rosaline Molina and Heather Coardi. County staffs introduced themselves. So housekeeping, cell phones. I think we should be all used to that by now, is turn it on airplane mode or silence or turn it off. So if there's anyone here who would like to testify, please fill out a sign up sheet over there and give it to our staff. And generally I take the when we get to the agenda items, I take it in the order in which people submit it. So Zoom testifiers, you can raise your hand or send message in the chat to the Zoom host indicated which item they wish to testify on. We ask that everyone please state your name before speaking. So to all of you who are attending in person, remember to speak toward the owl and microphone so everyone on Zoom can hear you. So the first order of business is to approve the minutes from the October 14th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the October 14th, 2025 meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Any corrections, any comments?
Oh, it looks good. Thank you, staff, for compiling the minutes.
Okay, so hearing none, then we'll vote. All those in favor of approving the October 14th meetings, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Nay. Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Okay, so generally we allow time now for if anyone from the public wants to comment on any of the agenda items. As published in the agendas, members of the public may provide public testimony regarding any agenda item now or at the time the agenda item is called to order. So you have an opportunity to talk now and also when the agenda item is up. I see Janice's hand up. You want to go?
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Charlie. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha.
Hey. Nice to see everybody. Yeah, I just wanted to speak really briefly to some of the items on the agenda. One of the things I wanted to mention about the minutes, I just had one suggestion that maybe there's a little bit more added to the public comments to give some context. Like I think on mine, on the last one, it said concern about noise and transportation. I think, like even mentioning concurrency, and I'm just using mine as an example, but just so for the public who might not go and look at the video, it just might be good to have a small summary there so we have a gist of it. So on item 2, I think that the MCX, the mixed use in MCX is premature for many reasons that I mentioned, I think most of them last time, but I think that there's not supportive infrastructure there or planned in the near future. I think that there's a safety issue for people living there, especially if there's children. I also think that the one thing that Nancy brought up that's really critical is undermining the motivation to move forward with TOD and TND model, which is embraced in the CDP and pre-planning. I feel like this idea of the mixed use, like John, I think I felt like at first like, oh yeah, great idea. And then the more I think about it, the more I think it's just another example of not having pre-planning. For the item 3, Tree City, I think we just talked about last time about combining it with the Kona Open Space Network planning. And I think that that's really great. Of great concern to me this last couple of weeks or so, mature, healthy Royal Poinciana trees were removed from one of the only places on Kuakini Highway where there's sidewalks, which diminishes that use. I'm not sure if it's because the area is slated for development and there was I don't know what's happening there, but I know they were healthy trees. And I don't know if it has to do with homelessness, which I hope that that's not how we take care of that issue, but it seems like that often is. So until I would really like it if the CDP, if you're going to embark on this Tree City effort, the committee could write a letter to the administration and ask them to please wait to cut down any more mature trees until there is a plan in place, at least an arborist that they have on board and some, I mean, we do have in the CDP, there's a call for street trees. We just lost some really great ones and we've lost some other ones, not that long ago as well. And it just makes it a lot less potential for people to use sidewalks if they're going to be sweating like crazy in town. On item number 4, on the, applications for committees, I'm still waiting I'm hoping maybe today I'll hear from the planners at the meeting, but I'm still waiting to hear that anyone even received my application, which I, submitted for the second time, and it was a confusing thing. Anyway, I just think to be respectful, the administration should be responding to people who offer to volunteer. And this isn't about me as much as, wanting to see the public take part in their democracy. And if they don't, if their effort goes into the void, they're not going to be really encouraged to do that. And on item number 5, I really wanted to say how much I appreciate Charlie's steady hand and Nancy's experience and historical memory as chair and vice chair. I hope they'll keep serving that capacity. If they don't, I hope that this time for sure we choose people who will show up regularly to the meetings and also have that ability to have a steady hand to run the meetings well, as Charlie really has done. And on one last comment that you guys just mentioned, Charlie mentioned about people mentioning their districts. The CDP people have been chosen not just for what district they represent, but also their background, because we were looking for diversity. So even if, you might have a business person in South Kona, you could also have a farmer in South Kona. So I think diversity on the committee is crucial as much as the district. So that's all. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Janice.
Great
Thank you,
agenda.
Janice.
Lots of great stuff on the agenda. Thanks.
Okay, is there anyone else that wants to provide comment at this time? If not, I'm gonna get into the agenda, the business. Oh, Josephine, did you want to testify? Comment now?
It's a non-agenda.
Okay, we're gonna have to take that probably at the end, okay. Alrighty, okay, well, the first business item I'll open, it's at 12:12. And this is the Kehoe Aquifer System area groundwater adaptive management plan, which we've been following. No one from the public wants to testify on this item. If not, I'll just report. Yeah, so the adaptive management plan was created by the Commission on Water Resource Management, which is a state entity, and we are a county entity. But it was really to address the need to better manage our water in Kehoe. And this has been going on for years, so I want to give people a background on why the adaptive management was put in place. People have been advocating for designation of the aquifer, and the adaptive managed plan was meant to address some of the issues that people had short of designation. The designation is going to occur at CWRM. It's not a county action. We can support or not support, obviously, but that's not something we're gonna carry on in detail here. But the reason I brought it is because water, after it's determined by CWRM to be permitted for drilling wells and accessing the aquifer, much of it then goes to private development or to the county, and we're the county. So I think the concern for myself and for the action committee is really about when water is approved. Are the county interests like we have them here? Because we have priorities, we have, you know, a lot of demand on water, whether those are actually being considered as well. So that's why we're talking about this. And again, I want to make it clear it's a state issue. So we're not going to get into the decision-making piece of it, other than whether we want to support and what our interests would be from a county level. To keep you abreast, the AMP, the Adaptive Management Plan, called for the creation of some expert panels. And I submitted summaries, I think, to everyone on the board. Should have gone out to the board. If you have any comments on the summaries, you know, those are the things that we can maybe talk about here. And again, this is, you know, on the concern from the county level. And but in those expert panels, they have been working separately. They now have a plan to bring the expert panels together. That's gonna happen in December. And so it's moving. One of the panels that needs more, I think, work is the cultural impact side of things.
Have they met yet?
Yes, we've met a couple times, but it changes with, you know, with who decides they want to attend. So, but there'll be cultural representation at the December meeting as well, and probably more to report after that. I don't have any more details at this point, only to let people know that we're in progress of that. The summaries that I sent out is really the basis for the agenda. They're gonna cover those, and any amendments they might have before that. So that's pretty much the update on it, to let you know that it is moving. There is a concern about designation as well, and, you know, so I don't know where that's gonna end up. So if you got any questions, or anyone has comments, I'm happy to.
The staff, we got testimony on this issue from Stephen Holmes, and it came in separate from our packet, so I decided to copy it to make sure people got to see it. So, but he's testifying on these issues, so Jax, I wanted to bring it to your attention. He's not here, but I thought his comments were also worth, you know, evaluating just for our background. I also saw, I should have copied too, an article from a magazine from some of the people from Colloquial Fish Pond folks that were expressing frustration that it didn't seem like the designation aspect was going to be moving in parallel with this plan. Because July kind of looked like everybody was getting all excited about doing them both sort of simultaneously. And then the discussion wasn't followed through on, so did you see that article?
I did not, but I can tell you that, it was meant to. But, it's taking a lot longer than the adaptive management plan to actually formulate, the panels to actually formulate a recommendation. And that's why they're meeting in December. It's premature right now, at least this is what I've been advised on. It's premature now to come out in the silos and say, what do you think about this? Because the entities need to come together, and then make a decision on the recommendation, because this is gonna be a recommendation too. So there's more time for public input. And once the expert panels meet, that's gonna be my recommendation, is that, we get a little bit more public.
That may be
input.
something at that point that maybe we might consider voting on as the AC.
Yeah.
Once they come up with their recommendations in December, or whenever you think it's appropriate for us to provide input.
Yeah.
Um,
If I get any updates between now and then, if I get any updates, I'll share it with the panel, like, much like I did, with the committee, much like I did the last time when I received all the summaries. Yeah. But again, these panels have been working separate from each other, so I have to go through the process of making sure C1 keeps me
It's kind
posted.
of like when the Kona CDP was drafted, they had the working groups first. And
Yeah.
Then the working groups all came together.
Yeah. There's a discussion on processes. With regards to community input, do you come before you have a recommendation or after a recommendation? And, I don't know which is more effective.
I guess people don't want to make a recommendation after it's a done deal, I guess.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
From Stephen Holmes.
Yes.
Also feel the former Honolulu city council member,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like Honolulu council is took some ordinances requiring water recycling, water efficiency standards, and those types of things into their community plans, and then it saved a great deal of water. I'm wondering if we should have put on the agenda a discussion of that, because, I mean, if we can recycle water, or if we can make it so we don't use so much water, the aquifer is going to be better off. Yes.
And you're spot on. Those are exactly the kinds of I think recommendations that we as a action committee can make. They've been mentioned before. They've been in minutes. We've had conservation people, experts come in. I think I have a report. I might circulate that from I think he's a doctor, who talks about, makes recommendation on how to separate gray water from sewer water, which is a conservation effort, and then you recycle that back onto your lawn, so you're not watering, of course, large areas with potable water. One of the things that came up in I think it's in one of the reports that I sent out, is that recycling would really go into conserve potable water from the well, because many of the golf courses and what have you, they're still irrigating with good water. So there's a whole complexity of stuff that's in there.
Golf course does that.
I don't know. It was in the report that they weren't specific about it, but I think it's in there. So they're making comments too, about that. Our job is gonna be really, how I see it, our job is really gonna be, the challenge is going to be to marry the county up with the state, so that we're all on the same page. And right now, people accept the fact that the state makes these decisions But then what happens to the water afterwards is not.
So is the recommendations going to include things like suggestions of how the county can create policies to conserve water?
I think if you read the Ottawa decision, that was well, the presentation that was done, there was recommendations, but the CWRM can only make the recommendations, and so we made recommendations in that, and I can provide a copy of that if you like. And it was about conservation, and it was about recycling, and it was about bringing the Kealakekee plant up to RS1. And these,
My fear here is doing quite a bit of work in Maui is that we end up in the same position
Yeah.
as Maui someday.
yeah,
And we don't want that.
yeah, and
The county plan is overdue to be updated, and they haven't done it, and they were going to do a county Kehoe aquifer plan, and it didn't get approved, so they're behind. And the county isn't doing their job in terms of updating, from a development standpoint, how to handle our water resources. And that's something that I think, like with the letter that you helped put together, that's one thing that definitely has to be addressed in the update of the Kona CDP. We have to have a better understanding, of water use and how we should prioritize, water use.
yeah, but the county doesn't have a water use development plan, which would facilitate CWRM's decisions. Instead, they're handling it well by well. They're working on a water use development plan, but in the meantime, there's still these one-offs coming in because they're still requesting permits for well. The county has two requests in right now for well permits. One is a low level well, which they want to tap the deep confined water. It's the one that goes out into the ocean, and it's not
Has
present
anybody ever done that in the States before?
not from here. Yeah, so there's interest in understanding what that can provide, in terms of resource and how that's going to be related then to future development, future use. So that's one well, and I see that as a good thing. I see that as, something that we should all be doing. It's good research. And the other one is, the county's plan now is to reduce the number of large capacity wells and create more small capacity wells so that you have like two wells taking the load that one big one used to. And the reason for that is because when the big ones go out, the effects are very widespread. And again, this is the Kehoe aquifer we're talking about. This is not something that's outside of that thinking is not outside of our particular area here. But the reason for the adaptive management plan and why that's a good thing to do is because CWRM hopes to use that plan and apply it across the state so that the state has a way to manage
As a model.
So that's why I think there's some positives to it. Yeah. I'm sorry.
A lot of small wells, are they using all of the same mechanical mechanisms so that if something breaks, they have the part kind of handy as a backup
Yeah,
for any of the wells?
I think that's one of the main points is to get them serviced again. Yeah, and bring them
Hopefully
together.
they spread that out so it's not all drying in the same spot.
Well, one of the interesting things is nobody really knows how the water is distributed in the aquifer because some of it comes from Hualalai, some of it actually comes from Mauna Loa, and some people think that deep water one is coming from Mauna Kea. But we don't know. The hydrologists don't know. So drawing from one area, the theory would be, well, you're depleting that area, but nobody really knows that because the aquifer gets filled by various sources. But the idea of drilling the smaller wells is really more about maintenance and service. I mean, those are the things that they know. They just don't know. So hopefully the adaptive management plan and the expert group is going to be able to, determine a little bit more in detail how the aquifer behaves. But that's a long-term thing. We're not gonna find that. I was told that it takes at least 4 years before the rainfall actually reaches the aquifer. That's here. So, are there any more comments or questions?
Didn't you tell me that you'd heard something about that they were gonna put the recycling of Calicut wastewater, into the budget?
Yes, it is in the budget, yeah.
But it wasn't originally, right?
It wasn't originally,
So this
no.
is something that happened relatively recently.
Yeah, I think last month or two, they amended the CIP to upgrade the plant. They figured out from DEM figured out a way to do it a little bit cheaper, so they're upgrading half of it now. And they only use, I think it was 30% was the last number I used, so the half of it would cover the lawsuit portion that's required in them. Then later they'll do the rest of it. It's like a modular system they're gonna do, but it's in there and they're planning on. I think it was in December, might be. It's coming up soon, or already soon happened, or previously happened, that they were putting out bids to do this project. So it's
So that
moving, yeah.
refers a little bit to what you
Yeah,
brought up. And
I was gonna say pursuing these ideas. It's a good time now with like the momentum that's being put behind the wastewater treatment plant.
after Mitch Roth turned the funds down in
Right,
2020
exactly.
or whatever
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was.
we could have been a little bit ahead of this, but
You could just build the park, build it the way it was supposed to be.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's what brought it to this attention to this committee. John raised the issue. I'd like to see the park proceed, and the barrier was water.
Yeah.
And it was because of the wastewater. So we've traveled this long winding trail to get down to, okay, where does this all start? So the park, the upgrade has to precede the park. As is how they have it
He
planned now.
calls them up every once in a while and he bugs them and finds out what the current status is.
Well, that's the way that I understand it. The sewage treatment plant was designed to provide affluent to a regional park in Calicut, up Mount. The park never got built, so the sewage treatment plant is not designed to fully treat the sewage. So it's allowing semi-untreated sewage to flow out in the ocean, and they've been sued and they now have to fix it up.
Yeah,
So the park's been held up for like, I don't know, 30 years
30
or
years, yeah.
because of this issue.
yeah.
The plan was half done. Sounds like.
Because they can't irrigate it.
Yeah,
The plant was planned for a different purpose.
yeah. And they only utilize a smaller part, I think 6 million gallons a day, and it was built for 15 or something, so it's
Yeah.
got a lot more capacity, but nobody's hooking up to it. The newer ones have, but we have just too many cesspools to. The treatment of the water to RS1 is a good thing. To happen, but whatever's getting re-injected into the ocean, from other non-point source is still gonna be a concern, but I don't know how the county handles that, but again, that's probably gonna end up being in the permitting side. So those are the areas that I think we can effectively provide input for. Yeah, so Nancy, I don't know that we need a motion today, but certainly after the.
No, I was just bringing it up.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to give us a timeline. So after I think they're gonna meet in early December.
Yeah, I'd like to have something from them before.
Yeah.
Something to respond to,
Yeah,
ideally.
I think that they have a tentative date. I'm not sure if they got the venue done yet, though, but so I will keep counting and you guys apprised of that.
Thank you.
If there's no other comments on the first business item, I'm gonna close it. It's 12:31, and we'll open up next business item, which is a report on Hawaii County Council Bill 63 relating to dwellings. Committee member Peltier will provide an update on testimony submitted regarding Bill 63, which proposes to allow residential dwellings within the industrial commercial mixed use MCX district. And we've heard from Nancy already, and I mean Janice, I don't know if she's on the line still yet, but go ahead, John.
Yeah, so just a reminder, yeah, this bill was to allow single family, multifamily and duplex housing in the mixed commercial industrial zones. And that was the whole extent of the bill. We most of the MCX zoning is in Kona, which is why I thought it was important for our district to look at this more. The bill went through 2 planning committee meetings of the council and then the Leeward and Windward planning commissions without much discussion. I didn't watch the Windward one, but in the other ones, there was almost no discussion and just unanimous approval of the bill. So mahalo for all the discussion we had at the last meeting. I thought that was really great that we got something submitted, and I'm happy to say it was hugely impactful. I attended the council meeting to read it into the record and was there to answer questions. And the planning director went point through point through our issues and addressed them. It was a mix of his addressing them was a mix of either he didn't think it was actually an issue, the issues revolving around noise and air pollution were kind of minimized. Things like we asked to remove single family housing. They would have liked to keep single family housing in because that addresses the caretaker of a business living on site was something they wanted to address through that. Short-term vacation rentals aren't currently permitted in MCX, so they don't plan on there being it. Things like affordable housing and addressing the missing infrastructure like sidewalks seem to be to the director outside of the scope of the bill. I mean, he said that if we wanted, so in currently zoned MCX areas, there is no affordable housing requirement if you were to build a multifamily dwelling. That affordable housing requirement would only come into effect if a different area wanted to rezone as MCX. This seemed to be the biggest sticking point with the council. The fact that there was no affordable housing requirement. When this bill was pitched as a way to get, more affordable housing close to places where people work, more affordability into areas like Kona. We had discussed, and Janice brought this up, about having more planning around our mixed use areas and in general, a stronger kind of projects that we can plan like a TOD with more sidewalks and infrastructure built around walking and
Green space.
transit, green spaces. That was echoed by members on the council. Heather Kimball specifically thought this would be better addressed through a project district. Councilmember Kagiwara had asked if there were plans for TODs already, and it's kind of a side note, but Director Darrow did mention that Ludiwo Kalani Trust is interested in a TOD around the target area where they own all the land, which is one of the major MCX zones in Kona. So addressing the water and the sewage issues, he said that everywhere's already hooked up to sewer, which was something that we discussed. Maybe the Costco area was not
true.
was not hooked up to. So I don't know. I got a different message from him.
Not have sewer.
But that in a rezoning situation, water use and sewage use would be required. But again, it's addressing rezoning areas. When we were more looking at this, if you're looking at this bill in a positive light, it's doing urban infill in areas that are already built up with at least some infrastructure. So there was a lot of discussion on the council with it. I think Councilmember Oleka specifically said, addressing the affordable housing, who is this bill for? Basically, they weren't sure. At the end of it, Councilmember Onishi asked the director if they could put something in the bill to address the affordable housing issue. And the director said, sure, so they voted to defer the bill for now. And then that was 2 council meetings ago. At the last council meeting, it did not come up, so it's still deferred. So I think this was great that we did this. We went from no discussion to unanimous approvals through multiple levels into a really long discussion over this, really looking at this bill and eventual deferral, thinking this bill is not ready. So, mahalo everyone. I think it was a really successful outcome of our committee to really bring these issues forward and have this whole discussion. People on the council are really thankful that we did bring this forward.
And thank you for going and doing it in person. I think, our chair signed our testimony, but if we just would have gotten in as a piece of paper, they might have not even paid any attention to it. So to have John willing to speak, our voice and, and present the testimony in person, I think was really, really important. And thanks very much for being willing to do that.
Yeah, I think it was really positive.
It's a little concerning that the planning director would say that all of those areas had sewer. Because the vast majority of them do not have sewer.
I think they thought it was a slam dunk, and like when I watched the Leeward Planning Commission meeting and the planning director seemed to be really in support of this at that point. But I think so many issues, we raised so much food for thought, so to speak, that I think everybody started like reanalyzing the whole thing. And that, it's that particular bill was our Kuleana, because the whole TOD concept sits in the Kona CDP of these mixed use live work areas, but they're like John said and Janice said, they're master planned to be live work areas, and that's not what this is. And so it was very appropriate, and Keola brought it up when he was here last month, that hey, we have to be the spokesman for this type of master planning, and thought it was really good that we stepped in.
And that's how they were pitching this too, as a place to live, work, and play.
But they didn't have the
Live with
infrastructure.
Right, and we were kind of pointing out, hey, if you want this, if this is your desire, you need to think about this a little bit more.
So it remains to be seen what sort of amendments come forward, since they ended up deferring it instead of just voting in favor of it.
Thank you very much, John, for taking making a personal effort. I think we talked maybe 8 months ago of how we best can utilize our limited resources, which is basically planning and us alone. By attending some of these critical decision-making commissions and committees that are advising the county, and I think that's still a good strategy to try and, attempt and do. It's, but it is, we have to make the time for it. So,
Well, especially when it's clearly we can tie it to the CDP objectives, goals, and policies, where it's very black and white that it's a CDP issue.
Yeah, and I definitely believe that the collective testimony of the CDP was more powerful than if I had just testified as a personal citizen.
Yeah,
so,
but tell them about the Henry thing.
Oh,
An example of that, our Kuleana.
Yeah, at the meeting, so before they heard Bill 63, they heard Bill, I think it's 58, can't remember, but it's a bill to allow and regulate henneries in single family housing, so places where you can raise chickens.
Oh, that's right.
And Councilmember Onishi called me up to talk about it, because he asked for the person who was from the CDP to come talk about it. I was not authorized to talk about it, so I told him I'm not authorized to talk about it. I'm only authorized to talk about Bill 63. And he asked if we had ever discussed it, and I said, no, we haven't discussed it. And he was, I don't know what his agenda is with having me come up and talk about it but.
You're a live body that happened to be sitting there.
Yeah, well, there were a lot of people there
That's what
testifying on that bill, yeah. So anyway, so I didn't, and Corp Council thanked me for that. I think it was the best thanks I can get from Corp Council, it's thanks for not testifying on this inappropriately, so.
But it is really a CDP issue. You could read the whole CDP from cover to cover, and there's nothing that ties to that particular. So it's an example of something is, where can we trace, something that we have ownership over, and it's our responsibility to speak up, and what isn't, And, I think a lot of people would like us to talk about everything and anything, but that's not really what our role is.
John, you anticipate that we need to follow through or follow up or continue to kind of like.
Yeah, I guess, if something does come forward, and it'll be hard to, if something comes forward, could we just resubmit our testimony on it? I don't know what amendments we put forward. If amendments are put forward and we're able to adjust our testimony before that council meeting, if the timing works out, then I would bring it back up.
Can maybe we request that the planning director have the committee look at it before they go back to the council, so that we're not in that same situation? We get the, we get to bite the apple a little earlier. Is that?
That would be
Right.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah, if the planning director, council services or somebody would get it to us first, that'd be ideal.
Yeah.
Since we're so vested in, and I think we're brought up a lot of, very important issues, so if they
Yeah.
do that, that'd be perfect.
I'm wondering if we should, the Department of Environmental Management has a map of the sewer network, which clearly shows that Cologne wasn't served by sewer. Should we include that in our testimony next time?
If you can find the map.
Yeah,
I know what that is.
I saw one years and years ago, but it's out of date. I haven't seen anything
They
that's
haven't updated.
current.
okay, Bella, looks like David's in the waiting room.
Oh.
good
Well,
catch.
good eyesight.
Okay,
Glasses.
if there's no more.
They've adopted TOD ordinances, city and county. A lot of cities across the country now, these live work master plan communities is what it represents, but, they didn't wanna, for one thing they didn't like at the time was this concept of having resident, businesses with apartments upstairs. They didn't like that concept, and it's really pushed in the Kona CDP master plan for TODs that you can use the space better, that way. And so it'll be interesting to see if they're still sort of moving in that direction and what they actually come up with.
There's a development, you on that, and it's been very popular.
Yeah, well, it's becoming really popular in a lot of places to use space more efficiently, and have people close to places of employment and stores, We've never adopted a TOD ordinance except what's in the Kona CDP, and originally it was intended to be regulatory, but we couldn't get it to stick. So now it's sort of a recommendation.
Okay, back online?
Yeah.
Everybody on?
Could I just ask a quick question about what Nancy just said?
Janice, yeah,
Nancy, you just said that you couldn't, the
you gotta-
TOD,
you need,
No, she's unmuted. I think it was on sound.
Might be my side. No. Maybe it's Jess. Jess, are you?
Can you hear me? Hi, can you guys hear me? Can't hear me? Hello? Anybody there? I'm unmuted. I know, I'm unmuted. It's not, I don't think it's from my end.
We can't hear you if you can hear us, but we can't hear you.
I'm unmuted.
There
you are.
There you are.
You know, I was unmuted, but I got completely disconnected a few minutes ago, so I'm not sure what happened there. I'm
Okay.
sorry about that. I think the meeting just went black. Yeah, I just wanted to ask Nancy about the TOD, just briefly. Could you explain why the TOD concept and inclusion, what I think, I forget the word you just said, but it didn't stick, I think is what you said. So it's just a recommendation. Was that part of the Missler case? Is that how did we lose the TOD mandate?
Yeah, well, it was in the whole thing of taking the shells out. It was one of the things. It wasn't highlighting TODs particularly. It was just one of the many shells that were changed to shoulds.
Because I don't remember taking the shall out of TOD. I mean, I was at that meeting, but I can't remember taking that out of the TOD. So I'm questioning why that happened, and I don't remember that. But anyway, yeah, that's a shame, because I always look at the Safeway, that new shopping center, and how it was the exact perfect place for having, living spaces up top, and so close to town and walkability and all that. So it's sort of tragic if, I guess the design department, or what's it called now? I can't remember the name of it, the design committee, what is it called when the county is supposed to, that's part of the CDP, the county is supposed to, look over projects and.
I don't think they're doing that anymore. The design center was supposed to be
That's-
for Kona-based projects, and I don't think that process is in place.
So is that part of the, oh, well, that's a big thing right there, because isn't it isn't it mandated in the CDP? I mean, that was one of the components. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, that's another topic for another day. Well, thank you.
Yeah, we're getting off agenda.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So I wanted to give you an update on Tree City. I've been filling out the application, and there were still a lot of holes in it that I didn't have. One of the big things being our arborist advisory committee not being appointed. So I walked into the mayor's office thinking that I was gonna have to leave one more note that wouldn't get answered. But Malia, his executive assistant, invited me into her office, and she says, "Sit down, what do you need?"
And we'd already sent the letter in,
We'd
right?
already sent the letter.
Was she familiar with the letter?
Well, she said that there were already, I think 5 positions that were already, there was like one that we didn't have appointed yet.
What are you referring
Of the
to?
arborist advisory committee.
You mean they're selecting people?
Yes, they've already been selected.
Oh.
I have the list. And so anyway, there was all but one, but then we have quorum, which means we can check that one right off of our list, right, on the application. So that's fantastic. I have who they are, but I still need their contact information. So I have emailed Micah Alameda, boards and commissions, and asked him to help me with that. I'm just waiting to hear back from him.
And they don't need council confirmation, do they? Once the
No.
mayor puts them in, they're in.
They're in.
So do they have a schedule for when they're gonna meet first?
That's the other thing that I don't have. However, there's somebody else who I have been reaching out to for Outdoor Circle, and her name is Jill. It's her last name. She is on, when I ran into her actually at the Arbor Day celebration at Amy Greenwell's.
Wagner.
And I know her because her daughter used to work with me when she was a teenager and in high school. And I just took their family pictures recently. So we saw each other again, and I said, "Hey, how are you doing? Still working on this?" And she goes, "I am on the advisory committee." And so I was just elated because she's also connected with Jonathan Stone conservation property that they're trying to get approved by the county. So anyway, there's all kind of interwoven, but she's interested in also in being part of the outdoor circle and being on board. Okay, so I mean, it's like everything's just kind of falling into place. So the other thing I need to meet, and I can ask her, when are you guys planning to meet? You know, and how often? I asked Micah Alameda also. I need to know the frequency that they're gonna be meeting as part of the application. Also, I've got the public tree care ordinance cited on the application. That part's good. Annual expenditure of $2 per capita for community tree care activities is the biggest sticking point. Having a really hard time finding that. And Malia initially says, I can make the, I could submit a request. Well, she has. But when I went back into the office to say, how's that going? I need that information. She said, well, it's not an emergency and they don't seem to have interest. She hasn't heard anything. I don't know who to talk to about getting that addressed.
And this is one of the things that needs to be addressed before we can have that Tree City designation.
That's exactly right. Very, very important part. Everybody seems to think we've got it in the bag, but I need to have the actual numbers. I have to have numbers. And I know how many people we have. As far as residents, I can do the math myself. I just need to know how much we're actually spending. So still working on that. I did forward also that request to Micah, just in case he can say, I've got somebody that you can contact that can help you with this. Malia said, well, it's all public, you know, you can go and look at the finances. And I said, I'm not getting anywhere that
That's
way.
a bunch of deferred.
It's
probably.
just so hard to find it. If you go to tree care or maintenance or anything like that, just nothing comes up.
Yeah, that
Barely
seems like it should be
anything.
something they should provide for us. I mean, they should go through the budget and come up with a dedicated.
Exactly. So when we're done here, I'm gonna walk into Parks and Rec and just say, somebody help me, you know, or direct me. Where do I go? What do I do? Arbor Day observance, yes, we did have one. I've got lots of the documentation. I actually went myself and photographed so I can submit pictures. And so that is all good. Something related, and that's Outdoor Circles, hopefully gonna be the people that are gonna help me handle all of the exceptional tree recommendations. It's just a nice avenue. People were used to doing it that way. Apparently, we've got 4 or 5 trees ready for recommendation. Ready that people want to submit, so we can have something to do as soon as.
So the Outdoor Circle board, do you think is willing to get re-involved in this?
Well,
stuff?
I'm still working on that, and I've got, I may have to kind of go. No, the board that is there, I don't even know if they've got the same 501c3 number as the Outdoor Circle.
So that
assigned
Jill
it.
person is one on the current board?
She's not on the current board, but she wants to.
Oh, I
be
thought
on-
that's, I
She
see, I
wants to be
misunderstood.
on the board.
Mhm.
So I'm still working on all of that, trying to narrow it down. I wish that I knew exactly what questions to ask. Malia in the mayor's office has volunteered to be on the board until we can find other people to take her place on the board. And she is very familiar with all of the 501c3 stuff, just as you are, but you want to be on the board. It just to try to, I told her, I said, look, I could ask the first question to the director at Outdoor Circle, but I didn't know all the follow-up questions in order to really get to the bottom of what's happening at the actual 501c3 for Outdoor Circle in Kona. How do I How do I
We
get?
still don't know whether they want anything to do with this.
Right, exactly. They don't wanna do exceptional trees, they don't wanna do educational stuff in the community, they don't wanna do beautification projects. And
That's what they were.
they were supposed to have some mission statement, right? So, I don't understand how it all goes together.
It won't
but-
if they don't wanna do it.
Well, exactly, but I think what happened, I'm not exactly sure that they are, if they have actually got a different 501c3, but they are calling it Kona Outdoor Circle Educational Center. So I don't know.
It'd be good if you could try to find somebody that's on that board to find out if they meet, so you could attend one of their meetings and make a pitch.
Yeah, well, maybe that's the thing to do. That's a good suggestion. So when I talk to them, they basically says, nope, we don't wanna do that. Good luck. And I thought,
And the
that's
part
not
of
gonna
this
serve the
Kona,
community well.
this Tree Cities, that there needs to be an affiliated nonprofit, and so that's
There
why
should
she,
be, yeah.
well, I think it's a requirement.
We need to have an avenue.
And so if they won't do it, they need to find a different, or
Yeah.
create a 501.
I would be really happy to work with Outdoor Circle because they've already got bylaws. They've got so much in place that's just like, go. And when we need to be more specific with some of our community trees, we may need to start another one. But right now, it gives us some hands and feet and support in the community. We can already start educational stuff.
There's other ones like the, I forget, what's the trail called that goes along the coastline?
No, Alahele.
And don't they have I thought they had a nonprofit.
I think that's a DLNR agency.
No, there's a nonprofit,
Yeah.
they've done appraisal work for them. They're acquiring.
There's
property.
several, yeah, that use the parks and recs started that, and I'm not sure how. They do have a branch that works with the communities though, and I think they're separate from the parks. And I think they call themselves Naalele. They might have,
It's a nonprofit, I don't think it's that name, I'll have to figure it out.
yeah.
I'll-
Yeah, I
Alakahakai?
would appreciate it. But if it's something that, that we can actually, if it is something that is separate than what's happening at the Sadie Seymour, then we can be up and running pretty quickly and get our exceptional trees going, you know, we can at least get that part going. And some beautification projects, hopefully up and running pretty quickly. Cause I think we have the support, and actually some money is already in there.
And see, the county must have a budget office, right? An office of budget. I mean. I know there's a finance department, but there must be an office that deals
So
with,
you're talking about the county?
yeah,
Yeah.
that they could find out. About what's spent on trees already. I mean, I would think that you find the budget office and they should be able to give you that answer.
It seems like they should be able to do a search on their computer and come up with anything that's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They got any kind of records.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought, Livia was going to be pushing that budget item.
I thought so too.
So I will go back and, reach out to Parks finance person. I just looked up, they're out of office at the moment, but I'll try to get, they'll be back at the end of the week or so.
Okay.
So I'll reach out to them again.
I almost think that there will be other departments. Above and beyond just parks.
What the Tree City folk, the Arbor Day Foundation people, what they want is, so it's every dollar spent on trees, whether that's maintenance or, you know, removal, planting. So we kind of honed in on parks because based off of their budget, it's easier for them to just go and highlight the minimum amount of work orders and prove that they've reached
We
that.
probably already have.
It's
it,
very
just in
minimal.
Parks and Rec.
I've sent to them examples of what was previously done, because we've had this designation before. And so it's just,
Does Department of Public Works would take care of the trees? and-
absolutely, between the two of them,
That's gotta
we
be millions of them.
probably double or triple, yeah. So.
Yep.
I'll reach out again,
Thank
and we'll see if we can push, and I'll include Mulligan on the email, because he was
That'd be
involved.
great. Yeah.
In connecting us to them.
Right.
Yeah.
That'd
When
be
I
good.
was doing research on this issue in other jurisdictions, some of them parks, country parks and rec, and some of them public works, and in our case, it seems like they're both involved in money, for maintenance.
Yeah. You know, we have an MOU with the county for the Volcano Beach Park with Parks and Rec. And every time we want trees trimmed, what have you, they go to a contractor. So they don't do it internally themselves.
You don't need to.
Yeah,
It all
but no, I'm wondering how that complicates the budget though, in terms of contracting it out.
All they would have to show is how much they paid their contractor.
Yeah,
Even the guys that are cutting back trees for utility lines and all.
yeah. Yeah, cause they're very hard to get service from, just,
My husband
Maybe
said,
it's
well, go
Volcano,
in
maybe
there
it's
and
us.
you're on it, That's not getting
Yeah.
very far.
Like Janice was talking about the banyan tree being cut down, I'm sure that wasn't Parks and Rec that cut it down, I'm sure it was Public Works.
That was the Royal Poinciana trees.
okay, so, what's our next steps? What do we?
So
Need to
the
do.
next step is for me to be able to get the email addresses for the members. I'm not exactly sure how to do that, but like I said, I've reached out
Yeah,
for that. And it's the $2 per capita. Those are the only two things left.
You need to vote from us, because when you started talking, you said we had 4 months.
No, that's it's arborist, the
The arborist,
advisory
committee.
committee has formed. Even though they could hire extra people, they have what they need.
Well, that's like us, yeah, we're
Right.
short people.
So that we can check off.
Well, thanks for all the work you're doing.
Yeah,
on
thank you.
this.
Yeah, thank you.
For the Arbor Day celebration.
Yeah.
Is it the county did one? Is that what-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They were in several different places and I've been in contact with Leah and kind of ran all of this by her. She goes, well, I can't fill out the application, but I can kind of, tell you how to fill it out. And she said, reach out to Molly. Molly, where's Molly? Dolphin.
Yeah.
And she is she's an information specialist for, what is she?
Oscar.
Yes, yeah. And to also send some documentation. She did. She's already sent it. So I've got more than I need for a lot of things. And then as far as the ordinance itself, I've cited there, I got it from 2 different places, but it's the county code where it talks, 1456 about trees and exceptional trees. And she said that'll work. That's good. So I've got it all done. And I will run it by Leah again once before I actually submit it. I have to get it completely filled out and then I need to send a PDF to the mayor. He needs to sign it. And then they send it back to me. So we're almost there, but I mean, it's kind of a big
Yeah.
sticking point. So we're not out of the woods completely, but we're getting there.
I have a question.
yeah. Well, you're a lot further along than the day you suggested it.
Yeah,
Sitting in that chair over there.
Right.
So I just want to congratulate you on that and all the frustrations that went with it.
Champagne yet, but I,
We're getting there, huh?
When you're learning
got
a
it
lot of
chilled.
the process and making a lot of contacts in the process too.
and some of it is just, being stupid enough to just walk into somebody's office.
Yeah.
And it's actually, and contact people over the phone and email. But there are a lot of people that have jumped on board and all of you have
I think
certainly.
that's a good idea.
Well, thank
We
you.
need more greenery.
Excuse me.
Ignorance is your best weapon.
Is, there any other comments or?
Hello. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
I'll close it.
Hello?
It's
Hello?
1:06.
Hello?
So the next
Hello?
agenda item 4 is a report on the county boards and commissions. Oh, somebody up there again, Janice?
I
Yeah,
don't know what's going on with the button here. If
you're on
it's,
mute again.
oh, no, I'm not,
We can't hear you.
you guys. I haven't muted myself. I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you now.
I just keep turning it off and on. I'm sorry. I mean, to try to get it to work, it's like toggling it. I wanted to ask a question. Is there an arborist on the arborist committee? Charlotte, do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
All I
Just
can do-
offhand? Oh, never mind. That's all right. And the gal that you were talking about, is that Jill Wagner, the person who's going to be on the, is that, okay, good. Because she's really great. You know, did the committee write a letter to the administration of the department to push this effort, or is it or has Charlotte just been going out there knocking on doors? Because once again, I was thinking of the letter I was talking about, to just try to, you know, if the committee wrote a recommendation letter that they, you know, wanted to do this rather than, I don't know.
Right, yes, yeah, we've submitted two letters. Well, we.
Okay, is that from the
resubmitted.
committee? Okay, great.
And then, yeah, we resubmitted one letter and then we did another.
Okay, great. And I worked with the Kona Outdoor Circle on a beautification thing. And I just want to say that I think that you could be slightly sabotaged. I'm going to get in touch with somebody. I'll get in touch with her today that was really super instrumental in working on that. And I'll just, she knows a lot of the people that are involved, and I'll just try to see if I can find out anything else about them.
That would be great. Much appreciated.
I'll
Thank you.
email her as soon as we.
Yeah, no, and as far as who the arborist is, I'm trying to find my list of people that I just submitted.
I'm just glad it's an arborist. That's good.
Yeah, so we have Leonard Bissell,
Okay.
Jonathan Sudler, the planning director or designing, I don't know who that is, Mark Odell, James Boyd Friday, and Jill Wagner. I'm not sure who the arborist
Yeah.
is.
Who is in that? You know, I just want to tell you about the big tree. You know, I know the arborist that had written a recommendation about maintaining that tree several years ago, and the county didn't, they followed it at first and then they stopped. And, you know, that's once again, I mean, I have this big thing about maintenance. That's my deal. You know, I'm a plant person. And I also know that that's what we're going to have to stay on, is getting the county to do the things that even the arborist committee, you know, recommends, because that tree might not have died if they had pruned it, you know, according to arborist instructions. So anyway, yeah, it's got to be a joint effort. We all know that. But anyhow, thanks a lot again for following that up. Boy, you've done a lot of legwork. Awesome.
Good.
She made a comment too about Punk, about combining with Punk. Can they be of any help? Or is it too premature?
I think so, Kona open space now.
Yeah, no, actually, so that was something else that happened. They contacted me. And they said, we're having our celebration on December 4th here. And they wanted to know if I wanted to set up a table for Outdoor Circle to see if I could get some interest, people to volunteer and stuff. So I've already contacted Winston Welch in Honolulu. Said, have you got any materials for me? Because this is kind of short notice.
So did the Oahu Outdoor Circle.
The Outdoor Circle in Oahu, he has sent me some materials that I can print. And so now I just need to bone up on Outdoor Circle a little bit more and concentrate on it, and just get to the bottom of what's really happening as far as the board goes. And see, I might have to solicit your help to help ask him the right questions so I can figure this out, because we kind of danced around it and it was still unclear to me. He seemed to think it wasn't a problem.
Well, then if they don't want to, they don't have to. So I have to find, I'll go to if you can find out when they're gonna have a board meeting, and if they let members of the public go, I'll go with you if you want me to.
Let me find out. Yeah.
They still meet up at Keonaka.
The website didn't show that they had any meetings on their calendar the last time I looked.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, when we get to the agenda, we can refresh this, but. Okay, so, we can close this item? Okay, so we open, next one is, the report on the county boards and commissions, that was for me. Yeah, so October 18th, the chair and vice chairs of all the boards and commission, I think they were all the boards and commissions were invited by the mayor to have a meeting down in Hilo, and I was able to attend, the vice chair was not. And it was pretty well attended, I thought. I wrote a report on that the day after. I hope that was circulated because
Yes.
my memory's not gonna
Here it is.
recall. Oh, there you go, Nancy's on, got it. Okay, so I hope you read it all. If not, you know, my takeaways from it, the main takeaways from it were that the boards and commissions operate differently. The administration sees the sunshine law as some beneficial because you need to have it, but sometimes restrictive. So they understand the necessity of having it, but it does limit, I think, some of the boards and commissions' abilities to function. These boards and committees seem to function differently as well. For instance, if we don't have quorum, some boards and committees will still have discussions but take no motions. And other boards and commissions can have no discussion. And that's, I think, the interpretation of the sunshine law, or maybe it's just operating procedures for the boards. So that's giving the administration a lot of work to do, I think, to iron all those out. I don't know how far along they're gonna get with that, but Micah did say, look, if you have issues, any of the boards or commissions, they can go straight, you know, to him, and he'll try and fast track them as best as he can. And so I thought that was welcoming, you know, for me. And it was really nice to meet all the other boards and commissioners, committee members too, and chairs and vice chairs, and they share a lot of the same frustrations that we do, you know, getting community support. But I will say everyone that was there was pretty well driven. I mean, they're there because they believe you know, there's a job to do, and everyone is a volunteer. So
it's mostly a sunshine law based discussion, right?
no, that's how he started though with the sunshine law was that, but he was more interested in determining how we can operate more efficiently. What the mayor's office can do to help us operate more efficiently. And they looked at the sunshine law as one of well, it's not a limitation per se, but it's one of the guidelines that we have to follow that sometimes makes it even more difficult for them because it's, first of all, not every board or commission has been given a class for that. Yeah.
So
or the
nothing,
instruction.
so nothing came up regarding the bills we got passed.
I brought it
for
up.
the action committees.
I brought it up,
Um,
but it seemed to go. This is about neighborhood boards. Yeah, I mentioned that to him, and that, but I left it at that. I didn't wanna.
Complicate things.
Well, I didn't wanna suggest everybody else do it. I just wanted to say how we were able to kind of adjust it. So that's all we've got. I don't know that I'm gonna get any more feedback, unless but you contacted Micah, so that's a good thing. Yeah, so he's, you know, if he's helping, then he's, I think the representations he made at the meeting were good. And I think the mayor's office generally wants to help, and the administration generally wants to help. So I came away there pretty satisfied.
After you got back and we talked briefly about it on the phone, I was kind of left with the feeling that it seems like at least some of the boards and commissions could benefit from actual facilitation training. You know, of how to, because it seemed like some of the issues had to do with the boards and commissions having trouble interacting with people from the public that came and the issue of 3-minute limitations and, you know, how the chair, you know, manages that situation that sometimes can get a little confrontational.
Yeah.
And so it seems like, you know, facilitation training might be something that could be useful.
Yeah.
For like chairs and vice chairs maybe, specifically, so they can run the meetings gracefully.
Mr. Chairman, at the end here, you say, I suggest that the Kona CDP Action Committee take up these issues at our next meeting. One of the things I noted there was request for funding.
Yeah.
We voted to undertake a comprehensive review of the community development plan. And
Yeah.
I think we need to request the funding to begin that
The
process.
the context in which that was discussed was, in order to get the communities more involved, we've got to do a little bit more outreach. And so we need funding to help us do those things, yeah. And whatever else we think would require funding to make us operate better. And that's the discussion I think we probably need to have. Off the top of my head, it was brought up mainly because all the boards and commissions have a hard time making quorum even. Yeah.
There's more public relations to get people involved.
That's right.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I just, you know, something that you guys just said, about the meetings and the, you know, just the format. Back when we started the CDP, Nancy had talked about some really good community meetings. I believe they were in Oahu, the setup that they had. And I just wanted to, you know, bring up again that the space that you guys meet in isn't the best for public attendance and input because it just feels so formal. And I don't think that we really ever intended to have it to be as formal as it kind of is. And Charlie, you've been so great, as have, you know, some other, you know, chair people letting people from the public talk. But I think that, you know, we just need to make the CDP Action Committee is a different animal than many of those, you know, the other boards and commissions. And I still would like that to be a goal of the group and of the county to, you know, have a space where people feel comfortable to, you know, come in, I don't want to say pop in, but come in and don't feel like they have to know something or don't feel like they have to be really, really, I don't know, have a big background in planning or something like that. And I think we've gotten farther and farther away from that. And I think that the lack of public attendance at our meetings sort of shows part of that. I know that's not the only reason, but just keep that in mind. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, you know, I think part of the outreach, our intention was really to convene some kind of method or process so that we can actually reach people. What we were encumbered in the beginning because of setting up PIGs, the permitted action groups, because we had to stick within those guidelines. I think we are now more free.
And now that we're
Yeah.
under the neighborhood board
Oh.
thing with the 2 pieces of legislation that we got approved this last session, and I think have the framework for more of what you're talking about, Janice.
And so we've set the framework up so that we can do it, but we still need funding or some other, funding, because, you know, to bring the public together, it's gonna take that. We're gonna need a place to meet.
And this isn't an adequate place to get lots of
Yeah,
members of the public.
and this is
No,
a
it
form.
isn't. No, it's
There
fine.
are 2 other rooms here that are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I might ask you if you have people who are interested in attending or having some kind of an update or just an exchange of information with committee members. Let's make ourselves available, and, you know, you can help maybe organize some of the people that you know.
You mean, are you talking to me, Charlie?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I
Janice,
can't say
I'm
because your
sorry.
face has gone completely different in my screen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I always spread the word. I always try to get people to go.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, I'm happy to continue to
Yeah,
do
maybe
that.
we'll do this for the next agenda item, is just maybe focus in on what the mechanism might be.
Yeah, that sounds great. something we've been talking about for a long time.
Well, I think it's overdue. We really need more community.
Yeah, and things have changed because once again, the lack of newspaper, our outreach is just trickier. There's just
Yeah.
different. Yeah, thanks.
Like, just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Meeting at noon in the middle of the week eliminates a great proportion of the population.
Mhm.
Works during this time. Has there ever been a consideration of having a weekly meeting
We used to convene at 5:30.
where they're more attended?
A caveat on that is we took those meetings out into the community. Yep, so that it was more accessible for them because it's family time too. So that competition's always gonna be there. We've never tried a weekend, but that's always been the challenge. We used to have these meetings at 2 o'clock and it was never convenient, for everybody to attend. However, that's a discussion we should have. Cause I'm open to whatever we think is gonna work, the committee thinks it's gonna work, let's go ahead and proceed, because I think it's important for all of us. I think we all have we're committed to that.
Yeah, I think
The other issue has to do with staff because availability.
They come from Gaylord.
Yeah.
It's gonna be possible.
And the big thing, when I first got on, we were meeting at 5, but it was easier to make quorum at noon. But
Yeah.
that, could have changed. That was with other people who aren't attending as much, so I think it's worth discussing again, yeah.
Yeah, we'll put that on the agenda and get into, maybe take a deeper dive into that. Can you guys think about that too, when we get to the next agenda, cause I think, cause we're gonna rely on you heavily,
Yeah, all the other districts are in the evening, so that's, on our side was just about coordinating the details of that.
Yeah.
But the priority that we kind of try to reinforce that as long as whatever gets formed, right, so that's why we did come back to, because that's
Yeah.
where we were 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we can do that, we can open the rotation, we also, another district, we rotate across the main town centers.
Yeah.
Um,
I was more concerned about having this community outreach meeting, not necessarily having these regular committee meetings. Because I think one of the things that at least had concerned me is you guys having to drive from Hilo and driving back in the evenings. So, I wanna have that taken into consideration,
Yeah.
at least myself. But we can have that discussion in greater detail next time around. Okay, we'll close that item. The last one is dear to my heart. The election of officers for next year, chair and vice chair. So we're open for discussions or nominations.
I nominate Charlie as chair.
I decline. I nominate Nancy for chair.
I decline.
Okay, we're gonna go, well, we're running out of candidates here.
I nominate John as chair.
Second.
Awesome.
Okay, we'll second.
I would be interested in doing it. I've really enjoyed being on this committee for the past 2 years, and I would appreciate the opportunity to chair.
Okay.
And he's
And-
proven himself as willing to represent this committee in a respectful and accurate way when he goes to the council. I think he's proved that he can do that and present this committee in a good light, So, in terms of being, the person in the chair, I think he'd serve us well, leading us in that regard.
Before we vote on that, may I ask you a question? Why do you not want to serve as chair again?
It's
Or
not,
vice chair?
I enjoy it, but there's in the back of my mind, it's about succession planning. I've been chair for a long time and really we need to develop more people. If we expect to be successful, I think, out in the community, then we have to refresh ourselves as the community refreshes itself, and that's just. I'm going through the same thing with my own 2 nonprofits, is there's a time when you gotta turn the page, and I think, my time is now. So, but it's been a long run, it's been a good run, and I'm hoping we're gonna have more people come Thank you.
Plan is to continue to serve. So
I'll stay on as a committee member until we can maybe get representation from South Kona. Yeah,
why did you decide not to?
You talking to me?
Yeah, why, he's wondering why you don't want to be chair.
Oh, I told Charlie in the very beginning, he and I met before I got back on, and I told him I was sort of thinking about it, but I told him at that time that I wouldn't consider being chair. I've been involved in this CDP process for many, many years, and I just don't want to step back into that role. I have sort of a compulsive, if I get myself in that position, it's become self-consuming, and I gotta try to avoid that. And by being chair, I wouldn't be able to avoid it.
But your intention is to continue to serve, right?
Pardon?
Your intention is to continue to serve?
Yeah, I'm not gonna retire, I just don't wanna be chair, and I told him that 2 years ago.
How about vice?
Dave, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but I'm gonna have to resign my position. I haven't really been able to engage with this committee as I didn't feel like I was what I could contribute to the committee. It wasn't in my heart to do. So also my my workload at other places has just been increasing, and I'm also having some health problems. So even sitting here for the 2 hours has put my back in a lot of strain. So it's a challenge for me to attend the meeting. Not that I've actually added too much. I think you guys have been doing a great job with the constrained way the planning commission, or excuse me, the way the planning commission constrains your abilities to offer suggestions. So
Thanks for that, Dave. Do you have a timeline?
I don't know where we are with whether we have quorum with me on it or not. I don't know how many people are. If everyone attends, do we have quorum? I don't know. I don't know the.
Yeah, I mean, right now there's 5 of us in the room. So we do
Okay.
have 4 of the 5 of us, yeah.
How many
Yeah.
board members can we, or committee members can we have? Is it, we limited by 9?
No.
Right, so 5 always will be quorum. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
And how many do we? How many total do we have?
Technically, we have 8, but we have 2 members that have not been shown up. So we really operate on 6.
Well, that one woman, what's her name, Melissa or whatever, she told us she was gonna write a letter to resign a year ago, and she hasn't done that, so I don't think she's really.
Reaching out to her all-
I don't think we should be considering her a member anymore, you know.
Yeah, so that's Rosalind, and then before, and then more recently Heather has also been, I think we're just waiting for our official correspondence.
And I've been attending only because I know that you're stretched thin, and I hate to see you guys not be able to contribute just because you don't have quorum. So, but like I said, it's been too much of a challenge for me. I would say January, end of December will be my last meeting.
well, thank you for all your contributions, Dave. I know how difficult it has been for you to attend. But you have contributed even, even by just voting, it's a contribution. But you've provided a lot of input for us as well to think about.
Yeah,
Can I ask? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, and some of the items that you're talking about now, the R1 water and the water conservation and all this, fortunately I had the opportunity to build the Kohaniki golf course, and I was in charge of the whole facility, solar, NPDES out there, I was in charge of the R1, R2 water system, where we use the R1 water for irrigating all of the landscaping around the golf course. So I have a lot of experience in using reclaimed water. So it was and with all of the wells that we had out there and how much pumping we had to do, it was a whole different world for me just coming from commercial construction. So, but like I said, I don't have the ability to handle this position along with all my other commitments. So I just have to step down.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have any ideas or recommendations as to, you know, someone who might be can take your place and you know, take your seat, not your place. We'd be appreciate those recommendations. And I did want to comment also that I work with the people from Kohenaiki, and they have a. It's interesting that the developer can do something like that, but the county cannot. That's a disappointment for me. Now, I know they have a little bit more money, but.
And this whole development was baked in a long time ago with the previous planning director. And we even had Janine Todd, the planning director at the time, come out and approve the whole golf course and all the amenities before we open. And you probably know Kazuo Todd, he's the fire chief. So so the Todds are lead head Todds have been in the government for a while, but there's a lot of I guess you could say a lot of handshaking of what's been going on out there. Not bad. I think they've honestly done a great job trying to establish a quality resort that people can be proud of at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they've done that, and they've done a good job with the shoreline management as well, creating a.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and again, I appreciate, you know, you serving this long. And would appreciate if you did have recommendations, but so your plan is December is gonna be your last meeting?
Yeah, and I'll reach out to some friends, people that I work with, and a couple. I know Ricky Bozzona, you know, Norman Bozzona he writes for West Hawaii Today. Ricky Bozzona is a close friend. He lives up in Hawaii. He might be willing to attend this. I don't know. I'll reach out to him.
He's not in the district, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's.
Yeah.
He has a home in Coloco, so he's in district.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks, Dave. So we're in a discussion with John as nominating for the chair, and Nancy, you're gonna remain as vice chair.
If somebody wants to nominate me, I don't need to nominate.
Should we do one vote at a time?
I'll be willing to.
I call the vote on the nomination of the new chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a nomination for effective is gonna be January, correct? Effective date for, yeah, so we have a nomination for a new chair for the action committee, John. So all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah, nay, hearing none, okay.
Congratulations. I have a nomination of Nancy as vice chair.
I second.
There should be no discussion.
Continue on and serve.
I mean, that's what makes me feel really comfortable serving this chair. Is
Yeah.
Having Nancy.
Absolutely.
Thanks, you guys.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Nancy to remain as vice chair. And no comments, no questions. She's just gonna pick up where she left off anyway. So all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Nay, hearing none.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you all, and congratulations.
Yeah, thanks for carrying this over, you know, at least the 2 years I've been on, you've been chaired.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a while. So, yeah, my plans are just until we can, make sure we can keep quorum. I think David brings up a good point, and it's not just this committee that has that difficulty, I can assure you. So I think that concludes all our business for today. So there's a public testimony on matters not on the agenda. Is anybody, you withdraw? Oh, okay. Okay, statements from third-party reports by any government official not included on the agenda? Nope.
That's one thing that I haven't done that I was gonna do is when we got SB 405 passed, to let at least the people that work in departments in this building know that they can drop in and give updates that might be of interest to this committee. And I haven't done that yet, but I'll put that on my calendar so they know they can come in and talk with us about anything.
Yeah.
And that's a result of one of the pieces of legislation we got approved this year. They don't have to be on the agenda, in other words.
Would this include chairs of other committees or boards?
Well, this issue was initiated by City and County of Honolulu boards and commissions because the neighborhood board specifically,
Yeah.
because the agencies like the police department or fire department or planning would come in and Office of Information Practices wouldn't let them talk unless they were pre-agendized.
Ah.
So that's where this legislation came from. So I think anybody else is welcome to. This specifically had to do with people representing government, this legislation.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious if whether board members or committee chairs
Yeah. I
or
don't
any
think it
members
has to-
can
Any of them can come.
and comment on the work that they do.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that might be something we might want to do. Okay, so the next item is proposed new business. This would be for the next agenda, I guess, which is Tuesday, December 9th. Okay.
The opening's fall, but I may have an update on Bill 62, but depends if there's an update at council. If any of those interviews.
I should have an update on the AMP as well.
And you might have something.
We could have
regarding
something
the
on
Tree
Tuesday,
City.
hopefully.
Okay, so we keep those three on.
Will we have any response from the director of planning regarding the studies we asked for the conference?
Yeah, that'd be nice with some follow-up on that.
Yeah,
I think, yeah, the letter got submitted, right? My
Yep.
understanding.
yeah, the letter got submitted and thank you for I think it was really important that you made noise about this to get us to put this together and send this out. And I think it's something that we need to stay on. I think, we sent them a letter and they may not respond, but I think every so often, I think we need to reinitiate the poking them in the ribs. Cause it's, in terms of long range planning, to initiate this and for them to start thinking about it is the responsible thing for them to do. And I think we should continue to harass them, quite frankly.
They're gonna have the budget for.
Yeah, well, yeah, so I think we need to be the squeaky wheel to keep this going. So even if we kept this on the agenda every.
To ask for an update of how they responded to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can maybe send a letter, see if he might want to come to the next meeting.
Yeah, I've been working with the 2026 meeting calendar to see, because other ACs have also been expecting his presence, so, I can work with him and the secretary to see.
Yeah,
We also have the SMA.
right.
Planner also to come, I think we're shooting for January. Oh, we can switch it around. Depending on how they-
Yeah.
And another item we might consider is the KFO, Kamehameha Schools, SMAs, that the SMA process right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, that's why we thought about putting the general SMA process on the agenda, because they haven't submitted any SMA application yet.
Oh, they have.
No,
Okay,
it's
but they-
in the, if you read the EIS that already got approved, that it says in there that they're gonna have to do that, but they haven't. So my suggestion when we all met is that maybe to gear up for that, it would be good for us to get a presentation on the SMA process. And, you know, and how, where it might be appropriate for us to intervene in that, and once they agendize that.
So I have a suggestion. You folks said that you wanted more public input. What if we invited somebody from Kamehameha Schools to do a presentation on what their plan is? Guarantee
We're
we
talking
get
about the
public input.
bungalow.
Well, again, the EIS has already been approved. I don't know. I think, again, Charlie and I talked about it, and
Yeah,
the problem is it's a very controversial issue, and we don't have even the space in here. There's a lot of people that are just come and scream, and we can't really do anything about it. It's,
Except inform the public.
well, the public knows very well, and they have very strong feelings about it. I think to educate about the SMA process would be kind of a technical education, so that we could, once it is gonna be on the agenda, I think it would be appropriate for us to discuss their SMA application and maybe even be willing to submit testimony, but specifically to that application. I think just to put Kehoe, resort expansion on the agenda would just be a big explosion of something that wouldn't accomplish anything.
Can I have a comment on that? Do you mind?
yeah.
I know where you guys are coming from about it, but I don't agree. And I think that this is an opportunity to somehow figure out a way to bring it up, because this is how you get people involved in the CDP action committee's business. And I'm putting it out there. I just think that there is probably, like what you were saying, is maybe when the SMA comes out, but I don't know. I think that in a way, we've already missed an opportunity where the CDP action committee should have been involved. And I don't know if it's too late, Nancy. I mean, I think it's something to discuss and think about. I know you and Charlie have, but I don't feel like people know as much about it in a broader sense, that like a larger community than the people that you see is where it's controversial. There's a lot of people who don't even know what's going on around it. And once again, it takes a long time for the public, especially without a newspaper that everyone reads, for people to get informed. And I think it's a little bit maybe shirking responsibility, but I really would love to talk to you more about it. I just wish that you guys would keep an open mind about, honing it down. And I know you don't want to get involved in a whole, brutal fight, but if there's some way, it also gives people empowerment to be able to talk about it in a venue like the action committee. I mean, even if it doesn't so-called accomplish something, once again, the fact of getting people involved, getting people to talk, just can be and the reason I say that is because when we had a lot of big land use issues happening when this all started, there were a lot more people involved in our local politic, and I think that's what we're missing. So I know that you don't want to hear it, but I mean, I know, and I don't think it's just up to you, Nancy, as much as I completely respect you, but I think it's something to still consider. And just if you
I
could,
brought it up 2 years ago when we still had an opening, when they were soliciting public input. And if we're really gonna jump on that bandwagon, that's when we should have done it. Because the process was there in order to get people involved. Right now, it would just be a political gesture because there is no decision making. I think the SMA process would be, it's a tangible thing. They're gonna be coming forward sooner or later with SMA applications, and they're gonna be on the Leeward Planning Commission. And if we
Okay.
can educate ourselves in advance specifically about this mechanism so that we understand it, and we can decide whether we want to provide input specifically to those applications, I think it's more responsible.
Yeah.
But just to
I see
open the
what you're
room politically, to have 50 people or 100 people come in and start throwing rocks about how pissed off they are about that, it's not responsible as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying about the SMA, as long as you guys have time. I mean, I don't know why you guys weren't involved. I mean, I know that we talked about it and why something wasn't put out from the committee back then 2 years ago. So that's, as long as something's gonna come up with the SMA, I'm totally into that. That's great. That would be fabulous.
You know, go ahead.
The process isn't through yet. I don't know why this committee couldn't, make a stance on the SMA. And you
I
can't
agree.
make a stance on the SMA unless you know what the project
That's
is.
just.
Well, that's why I suggested that someone come in and give us a presentation just on that aspect of it.
Yeah, here's my concern. When we have these public meetings, like we're public now, people are coming to us expecting that we're gonna take a position.
Do we have,
And they're gonna vent and they're going to tell us all the things as to why we need to make this decision. And we can't make that. And I don't believe, that's a position that we should be putting the committee in, because it's a no-win at this point, particularly on this project, because it's so controversial. However, the SMA portion is still open. And so I think the idea of having, okay, this is what the process is, would be very useful for people who wanna, continue with with their concerns on the project. So I think that's what concerns me the most, Janice.
Well, Charlie, I understand that too, but at the same time, if people, it also, if the action committee is very clear, if the agenda is very clear that it's not a decision-making meeting. I mean, once again, I don't know what kind of meeting or exactly what the point, but I think what JR, I think that's what you called JR, was saying, I mean, I don't know if I still think that you should consider it, because then also people understand more about this Kona CDP Action Committee. They'll understand that you're not a decision-making body. People will come to a meeting and find out that there's other things going on. I mean, that to me is partly public outreach too. So yeah, I mean, guys,
If I could add in from
Yeah, David.
for a developer, the SMA process, a lot of times the developers wants to keep it as quiet as possible. They don't want input from the public because they want the thing to pass. And being involved with the number of developments, it's a challenge, and you want public input, but the faster it gets through Leeward Planning Committee and approved and on the mayor's desk, easier. So but the SMA discussion would be good for a learning experience for everyone. I don't know how many, just because, the community that we have here now has been changing over the years, and the younger people have been moving away because they can't afford to live here. Affordable housing is the other issue. So you're getting some of the older people to be on these committees, and it's going to be a challenge. I can just see that. I'm sorry being a naysayer.
Could I
well, I think the SMA process, I mean, when I was on the county council, we didn't approve SMA, so I didn't really go through that process as a council member. It goes to the planning commission, and I
Right.
think if someone came and educated just even this group at the SMA process and what this developer, why they need this, it would educate not only the community that might want to come and listen, and also educate them as to where they could be useful if they decide they want to go to the planning commission and that testimony, where they're submitting testimony that's responsible to the application. And rather
Right,
than,
and
I'm mad about this,
and when they have their meeting, the public meeting, you get all that input, and that's the time for the public to know what they can voice. So I agree with you. The more knowledge you can spread amongst the community, the better informed they are. So
And you have to remember that that project is in the Cal Resort node. They're not doing this, I mean, I don't want that project, I live near there, I think it's too crowded down there. But that land, since the last general plan is designated for resort development, so they're not doing anything illegal. You know,
No.
it's because people don't like it, they don't want it, and that's not really our job. I mean, I think Bill
No.
63 is a really good example of something very responsible, where we could point to things that are related to Kona CDP that the council is considering, where we could see that was problematic. And I think we just can't be this voice for people that are pissed.
Right.
Yeah.
For things that are actually legal, you know.
I think we're the voice of the CDP.
But you guys are also the voice for the community, and the SMA process is about protecting natural and cultural rights. And I think that, so, I mean, maybe getting in sooner for a discussion, having somebody come there, a presentation sounds fantastic. And getting in there, like, our friend from Kona was saying, that it's good to get on the ground floor, a little closer to the ground floor. We're not on the ground floor, but I don't think that we should run away from the discussion, because I do think it's very germane. And certainly 200 whatever condos down there is a huge impact on what might be a TOD. I mean, I've always thought Keauhou certainly seemed like it should be a TOD. It's been sitting there looking at us, staring us in the face. So I don't think it's not germane to the CDP, Nancy. I don't. And so I hope that you guys will, move. Really, I really appreciate you talking about having them come in for a discussion. And the more knowledge that we have, like you're saying, for the public is better. It is. Then people won't be screaming and yelling. They'll have some information. It should help.
So I move to adjourn the meeting. I need to leave.
I'm sorry, David, I didn't hear you.
I put in motion to adjourn the meeting. If there's nothing else to be heard.
Oh, do we have announcements of? He's moving to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, but do we have announcements first? Do we have announcements before we adjourn the meeting?
Open Space Network. update?
Yeah, there was just one more thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just, we were on new business when we got into this long discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Right.
I think we could do the announcement.
Yeah, there was one more on there.
What was it?
I don't recall, but I'm gonna look.
There's the Kona Open Space Network
Right.
update, then.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, the Kona Open Space Network. I've been sitting in on Zoom meetings as that project moves forward. And on Thursday, December 4th at Maka'eo Pavilion at the old airport, they're gonna have another public presentation on where that process is so far. They're gonna updated map on a draft open space hubs and links network plan. And I think between now and then they'll have some sort of brochure or something that I'll be able to, the staff or me will be able to distribute. But anyway, Thursday, December 4th from 4 PM to 6 PM, they're gonna have another big public meeting to try to let people know, how this project is shaping up. And that's all I have. We're gonna have 2 Zoom meetings to go over more details next week that I'll be attending.
So it starts at 4.
Yeah, at the old airport.
Yeah.
They had a hard time finding this location, and people wanted the Maka'eo Pavilion, but on the weekends, it was all booked for months. And
Yeah.
so that's why they ended up with this Thursday.
They're gonna put a public announcement anyway before okay, so we just have to make sure people look out for that.
So that's all I have on that.
Okay, and the last update was really on repetitious of the Hawaii County still seeking applicants for the Kona CDP. Okay. Okay, there's no other business. Dave, you wanna make the motion again?
Yes, I'm motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Okay, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Right. Thank you all.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Ah. Okay, 156. You don't need this then.